Good morning, everyone. Buenos días. Bienvenidos. Welcome to El Museo del Barrio's online initiative, El Museo en tu Casa. Thank you so much for joining us today. We encourage all of you to fill out the Census 2020. It is almost done. That is a very important initiative that we are here at El Museo trying to get out to everybody to fill out the census, make sure that you get counted, make sure that you get all the funds that your schools, your hospitals, your community needs. So, hazte contar. Fill out the census, make yourself count. Today, we are joined by a very, very, very special guest, the lovely, amazing, talented Caridad de la Luz, better known as La Bruja.
Good morning, hola. What a pleasure it is to be here with El Museo del Barrio. I've been working with El Museo del Barrio, I would like to say well over 15 years doing poetry workshops. And, to be able to still do this online despite the pandemic is really an honor. And I'm glad that we can all still connect. Podemos conectar en esta forma y en esta plataforma. So I'm going to attempt to do this poetry workshop bilingual. My Spanglish is amazing, but my Spanish is just so. So Clara's going to help me. And thank you all for being here. I encourage you to get something to write with and something to write on that has a nice, strong, firm back. I like to consider the pen as a wand, right? As a magic wand of creation. And there really is no machine that can take a picture of your thoughts. No hay una máquina que puede capturar tus pensamientos. The only person that can do that is you. La única persona que puede hacer esto eres tú. And that's by writing it down, escribiéndolo todo. So today, my attempt in getting you to write is sobre identidad. I want us to focus on our identity, but not culturally. I want you to think about your identity conectado con la naturaleza, connected with nature. So I want you to start thinking of yourself as this being, right? Limitless, sin límite. And I want you to think of what your hair might be described through nature. Describir tu pelo con algo que pertenece a la naturaleza. So what do I mean? I want you to get your paper and write on the first line, my hair is like, you could use a tree or the grass. Mi pelo es como es como el aire. Mi pelo es como los árboles. Whatever it is that you feel you can describe your hair with. So that would be your first line. And what I like to do when I write poetry is I like to consider each line that I write like el esqueleto de tu poema, the skeleton of your poem. So after you write your first line, skip 2 lines. So después de escribir la primera línea, lo que sea que venga a la mente, skip 2 lines. How do I say that, Clara? Skip 2 lines.
Puedes brincar las líneas o dejar espacio.
Dejar espacio, como 2 líneas de espacio entre cada línea que escribes para darte el espacio para volver después when we put the meat on the bones. So if anybody has any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. But for right now, that is the first line. Mi pelo es como él. My hair is like, and fill in that blank. What is your hair like? And if you're working with a child, if you have any children with you, please encourage them to just be themselves. I like to say that there is nothing that you can write that is wrong. That's why it's called right. There's no constrictions in poetry. That's what I love about poetry, is the freedom to just express whatever comes to mind. So, what is your hair like? ¿Cómo puedes describir tu pelo conectado a la naturaleza? So, write your first line. Deja dos líneas. There are 3 books that I like to use when it comes to writing poetry. And today, como es bilingüe, there's 4 books. The first book that I like to have with me is always a dictionary, because all the words are in there. The second book that I like to use is my thesaurus, right? Because sometimes we're looking for words, and when we're trying to rhyme, maybe another word that describes the same thing might rhyme better. So I always like to have my thesaurus. That's my second book. Today, because it's bilingual, I have my Spanish-English dictionary. This one I've used a lot, you can tell. So you can interchange. And your poem can be bilingual, or whatever language it is that you speak. Even if you know words in your indigenous language, Taino, or whatever language you speak, don't be afraid to use everything that is you without limits. And the fourth book is the rhyming dictionary. If you're really, really into rhyming and you want to expand your poetry in rhyme, there is a rhyming dictionary. I haven't found a Spanish rhyming dictionary yet, but the English rhyming dictionary has helped me immensely. Okay, so now those are the 4 books that you can have with you. And with those 4 books, you can write anything: a poem, a story, a monologue, a play, anything. Okay, so hopefully everybody has their first line by now, describing what your hair is like connected to nature. Mi pelo es como la arena. Now, how would you describe your face? Is it a fruit? Is it a flower? How would you describe your face? Mi cara es como un girasol. Or what else could it be? Mi cara es como el sol. Mi cara es como la luna. My face is like the moon, or you can say my face is the moon. There is a strength when you take out the word like. En vez de decir que mi cara es como la luna, puedes decir que mi cara es la luna. And it kind of owns the word and gives personification, right? You're turning your face into this immense thing we see every single day. So first, describe your hair, skip 2 lines, and now tell me, what is your face connected to nature? And even if you want to take it further, if you want it to be beyond nature, whatever it is your poem is turning into, don't let me stop you. I'm just here to guide you to the thoughts, but where you take it is completely up to you. So after you describe what your face is like, skip 2 lines. Y ahora tell me, what are your eyes like? Mis ojos son como 2 perlas. Or my eyes are like my kitty cat. Or whatever it is you want to describe. Maybe your eyes are the 2 stars in the sky. Whatever it is you feel that comes to mind, write it down. What are your eyes like? What do your eyes do? Are they two flames? Are they planets? Are they stars? Are they flowers? Are they pearls? What are your eyes? So choose what that is. Mis ojos son, o mis ojos son como. It's up to you. Make sure you write whatever comes to your mind. Don't stop. I like to imagine my mind connecting to my arm, connecting to my pen or pencil. And I call it flushing. I let out whatever is in my mind. I flush it out onto the page. And every blank page is a representation of your future. It's whatever you fill it with. It can be as beautiful, as powerful as you make it. So now we'll go to my arms. What are your arms like? Are they like an octopus? Are they like vines growing on a wall? Are they two trees, branches? What are your arms? Mis brazos son como que, o mis brazos son dos árboles que le da fruta al mundo. Whatever it is you want to describe your hair, tu pelo, your face, tu cara, your eyes, tus ojos, your arms, tus brazos. What are they? How would you describe them connected to nature? And if anybody wants to share as we go along what's coming to you, you can put that in the chat too. I would love to see your progress and where you're going with this. And, you know, if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. So the last place that we want to go is the heart. The only difference here is I would like to ask you, what lives in your heart? Instead of what your heart is, all of these things in nature, in the world, what lives inside of your heart? Is it your family, your community? Is it all the animals? What lives in your heart? And that could be expansive. It could be love, joy, sunshine, anything. Tell me, ¿qué vive en tu corazón? ¿Qué es lo que vive en tu corazón? ¿Está lleno de felicidad o dolor? ¿O las dos cosas? ¿Qué tiene tu corazón? ¿Qué cargas en tu corazón? I see Daisy Oliveras shared, my hair is like the leaves on the weeping willow tree. I love that. That is beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, Daisy. Yes, keep going. What is your hair? What is your face? What are your eyes? What are your arms? And what is in your heart? Tell me, describe your heart to me. Now, when I asked you to keep 2 spaces between each line, esos 2 espacios entre las líneas que escribiste, después de escribir tu última línea sobre el corazón, ahora puedes volver a tu primera línea y aquí es donde puedes rimar. This is the opportunity for you to go and start getting into the rhyming, right? So like for Daisy's first line, her first line ends with the word tree. So we would look for words that rhyme with tree. So read your first line and look at what that last word is. And now this is where I like to call it putting the meat on the bones. Each line es como el esqueleto. Cada línea que escribiste es como el esqueleto de tu poema. Ahora le vamos a poner la carne, las ropas en tu poema. You're going to dress your poem now. Usar esas dos líneas, esos dos espacios para rimar y ponerle hasta más color en tu poema. So for instance, my hair is like the weeping willow tree. What rhymes with tree? And inside is a beehive where lives the bumblebee, right? That could be the rhyming part of the first line. And if you want to share anything else that's coming to mind, please put that in the chat. So, mi pelo es como un árbol. What might rhyme with árbol? I'm trying to think. Árbol. Una flor de mucho color. De mágico primor. How it says in our national anthem. Mis ojos son como dos perlas. What might rhyme with perla or perlas? My eyes are like two pearls. And when I smile, I feel like a little girl. Or mis brazos son como el mar. What might rhyme with mar? Yo lo uso para abrazar, right? This is where you can play with your rhymes. Are you looking for a word to rhyme with? Are you having a hard time finding a word to rhyme with? Put it in the chat and I'll try to help you find a rhyme with my rhyming dictionary, right? So like when I rhymed with Daisy's last word, tree, I look up the words that end with E. So I look up E, and then there is all these words, be, free, flee, three, see, foresee, silk tree, trustee. So many words that you can use. And I imagine words like puzzle pieces, right? And I just put them like a mosaic. I put them all together, and by the end, I look at the whole body of the creation. Now, if you're having a hard time thinking about where to go, look at what you have written so far and read each line backwards. Sometimes reading it line for line backwards gives you a whole other perspective. It sounds differently, and it might take you into another direction that you wouldn't have thought of if you just read it from the top down. Now read it from the bottom up. Okay. Oh, lovely. Daisy has added to it. My hair is like the leaves on the weeping willow tree. It sways and sways with eloquent ease. Yes, that's wonderful. Keep going. Does anybody else want to add to the chat or any questions? Let me know. I'm going to start sharing some of my poetry with you. And if my poetry gives you any ideas, write it down. Write it down on your piece of paper. It doesn't have to be neat. No one is grading you or judging you for your poem. That's what I love about poetry. This is your moment to just be free. So many times in society, everything we do is being judged, you know, everything. And in poetry, this is your opportunity to just authentically be yourself. Puedes auténticamente expresarte sin tener que preocuparte de ser judged. I forget what judged is. Juicio? Help me, Clara.
Judge puede ser juzgado,
Juzgado, sin ser juzgado. There's the word. I knew I was somewhere in there.
You were super close.
And that's what dictionaries are for, right? To help you find those words. Sometimes you think you know the word, you could look up the word. I just love words. I love all my books. I love all these books because all the words are in there. And this poem that you're writing can become a song. It can become anything. It could become a lullaby. It could become a children's story. It could be anything that you want it to be. So I'm going to start with a poem that I've said for many, many years, and it's bilingual, and it's called La Perla del Caribe, the Pearl of the Caribbean. By the light of the moon, dusty roads we would walk as coquis sang their song, pulling strings in my heart. Guayabas, quenepas, bombas y plenas, drinking café, wearing chancletas, in the kitchen with abuela, hoping that times would get more better. I respect her for holding it down so long. 5 kids, 1 crib, cocinando lechón. She taught us respect, la bendición, how to ask for perdón. Mama Don, you're right, even when you're wrong. 'Cause I'm proud to be Boricua, Taína de la Isla Bonita, africana, gitana, latina, de Manatí es la brujita. Abuelito, mami, tío, primo, my family, my people. The more days that I live, I realize we're all equal. So whatever you are into, whatever your belief, let me wave my flag without cause and beef. Because while this world is busy fighting, I'm just looking for peace. Even if you ain't Boricua, can I call you my peeps? That's the Pearl of the Caribbean. That's one of the oldest poems that I have. And you see that it's bilingual. It has my little slang vernacular because I'm born and raised in the Boogie Down Bronx, where I still live in Soundview. So it's authentically me, you know? And even as I've grown older and developed and done all kinds of things, I still love those poems. I still love my older poetry. And I consider each thing that we create like our baby. Each one is our baby. And you have to just love it and be happy that you even expressed yourself. You know, pat yourself on the back for expressing yourself in a world that so often tries to shut you down. La poesía para mí es algo que cura los pésames del corazón. Y la poesía es como un río en que yo puedo nadar y sentirme libre. So I love poetry. Poetry is like a healing force. And my early poetry had a lot to do with identity, pero más culturalmente. I was always searching for who am I, being a New Yorkeña, una puertorriqueña nacida en Nueva York. And I used to feel shame because I felt like I wasn't Puerto Rican enough and I wasn't American enough, because I would go to Puerto Rico and I didn't speak the language fluently, but I still knew that I was Puerto Rican. But then I would go to school in New York City and I was told not to speak Spanish and that I wasn't American and, you know, always confused about who am I. But through poetry, I found out who I was. And I am everything. I am a bridge between both worlds. And so are you. You don't have to choose one. You can encompass all of it. And through poetry, you can embrace it, express it, get it outside of yourself. But like I said, most of my early poetry had to do so much with identity. And it started con mi abuelita, mi bisabuela, who was a poeta, but she didn't know how to read or write, but she knew how to recite. Tenía, mi abuelita, mi bisabuela, tenía una memoria de oro y ella no podía escribir ni leer, pero ella podía recitar y ella me enseñó cómo recitar a los 3 años, 4 años, 5 años y cambió mi vida. Yo nunca sabía en esos días de mi niñez que yo iba a ser poeta. Poetry saved my life and mi bisabuela es mi ángel que me protege y que me ayuda y que me da inspiración. So a lot of my early poetry was about family, about identity, about my abuelita, my abuelito. And what is your poetry looking like? What is your poetry expressing? Who are you? Also think about maybe you can have a poetry name. Like I'm Caridad de la Luz, but my poetry name is La Bruja. And a lot of people ask me, why La Bruja? I feel like when we write, we spell, we are spelling, we are creating spells. I create magic with my words. You create your reality with your words, your narrative with your words. So I'm gonna do another little short poem and hopefully you guys are writing. Write down whatever comes to your mind, even as you hear me reciting. Let this inspiration live inside of you. Abuelita, desgranando gandules. Yo la amo y le di todo lo que pude. Y hasta hoy yo le doy respeto como mi reina. Y que le den todo en lo que se empeña. Todas las veces que me cuidaba y me aconsejaba, tan preocupada con todos los daños que tiene el mundo y su amor tan profundo como el mar hasta el hondo, sin fin como su espíritu, canciones del coquí cantó, brillando con su cultura bonita. Aquí viene mi abuelita, la tristeza y dolor me quita, me cuidaba cuando niña chiquita, aquí viene mi abuelita. And that's just a little excerpt of a poem, of a bigger poem called Ahora y Siempre. And that was one of the first poems that I wrote completely in Spanish. And I felt like I was hearing my great-grandmother helping me with words because like I said, my Spanish wasn't very good looking, but somehow, some way, I came out with this poem. So, and it still holds up until this day. I got to recite that poem on BBC recently for one of their episodes on Puerto Rico. And after all these years, that poem now has new wings, traveling all the way over to England. They're learning about Boricuas, Puerto Riqueños, New Yorkeños around the world. So you just never know where your poem will go. And I host open mics still at the New York Poets Cafe on Thursday night. If you ever want to join me, I love hosting open mics. And at the end of this session, anybody out there that wants to share their poem, I'm going to give you the opportunity to do that. And some people are afraid to share themselves because of judgment or whatever. And I understand. I can understand that fear. Da miedo uno expresarse. Pero mañana es mañana. You don't know what will happen tomorrow. My abuelita used to say que las oportunidades son calvas y después que pasan no se pueden agarrar. The opportunities are bald. So when they pass you by, you can't grab onto them. So this is your opportunity to seize the moment and express yourself. I know you may feel fear, but if you take that leap, I can promise you, you're going to feel super good that you shared. I promise you, it always feels good. I've seen people transform and go from never writing a poem to sharing their poem and be reborn as a poet. Renacido como un poeta. Today could be your birthday, your rebirth as a poet. So if anybody wants to add anything into the chat, I'm certainly watching, and so is Clara. Feel free to share and prepare yourself, right? So, are you writing? Are you getting those thoughts down? Don't stop. Tell me what lives in your heart. Tell me, what do your arms do? Tell me, what do your eyes see? Tell me, what is your face? Tell me, what is your hair? Is it a nest for little birds to land and feed their little eggs? Tell me, what is your hair? Tell me who you are, what you are. Feel free to express yourself. So, let's see here. Yep. You could even draw. Some of you express yourselves through drawing. So along, just the way my favorite Frida Kahlo, she would write her poetry and write her thoughts and then draw images on the side. This was my little image over here to kind of help you. But yes. Oh, let's see. Daisy, thank you. My face is the color of the coquille, caramel and soft. Oh, that is so nice. You see, it's limitless. Yes, your face is the color of el coquille. Yes, beautiful, soft, vibrant, full of life. What is your face like? We know what Daisy's face is like. What is your face like? Tell me, don't be afraid. And see, so if we wanted to rhyme with the word soft, we would look up oft. Let's see what we find with that. O-F-T. What might we see with soft? It could be loft, aloft, or it could be scoff or cast off. A lot of offs. Run off, take off, Molotov. Let's see here. Oh, they even said beat the pants off. That's even in the book. So they have rhyming phrases too. A Mexican standoff. Okay. Or Rimsky-Korsakov. Oh my goodness. Oh, great. Let's see who else is sharing here in El Museo. My hair is like a cotton ball flower, round, intertwined, like the threads in my abuelita's mantel. Ooh, I love it. Yes, go for it. Whatever it is, write it down. And you should keep a journal. I have so many journals throughout my life. Sometimes I write things and never even look back. Or sometimes I write things and go and read it, and it's like time traveling. It takes me right back to that moment in time where I was when I wrote that. So poetry and writing is healing. It's amazing, limitless. So I'm going to share another piece with you. And this is about the Piragua man, right? Because it's really hot outside and oh my goodness, seeing the piragua, man, some people call it raspados or snow cones. The piragua is a big block of ice and they scrape it and then they put flavored syrup, or what I like to call syrup, which is Spanglish for syrup. And I actually have a music video on YouTube called Pitaguero by La Bruja, and I have a lot of fun friends that made appearances in there. So after this, you can feel free to look it up, or look up my Pollito Chicken song that I actually was able to feature my abuelita in. I'll put that in the chat. Pollito Chicken by La Bruja and Dan Zanes, and you'll get to see bilingualism for kids. Pollito Chicken, yup, and Dan Zanes, or Pitaguero, La Bruja, and this is all on YouTube. Okay, so when the weather gets hot, too hot pa mi gente, here comes a man con lo más refrescante, bright colored syrups of flavors so amazing. A big block of ice he spends the day scraping, guayando, guayando el día entero, scraping that ice. In Spanish, that's hielo. Mira, Pitaguero, you the man. How you be with that scraper all day in your hand? He hardly speaks English, but sells just the same. He knows you by face, but not by your name. The neighbors come for what their taste buds savor, with $1 in hand for the piragua man. In a cup made of paper that's sharp like a razor, shaved ice delights the choice of your flavor. Who's next to order from corner to corner, Caribbean tradition to south of the border? A mí me dicen el piragüero, porque piragua vendo yo. A mí me dicen el piragüero, porque piragua vendo yo. Guayando, guayando, guayando hielo y echándole ciro. Guayando, guayando, guayando hielo y echándole ciro. Tengo tamarindo, tengo strawberry, tengo de coco y el de cherry. Tengo de uva, también tengo mango, tengo de China, hasta hay de rainbow. Check it. The same white towel he covers the ice with, he slaps on his neck after serving his ices. I'm just kidding. It ain't even like that. But for real, after each one, I come right back to a man who scrapes out a living from an ice block. The next time you see him, don't give him no wisecracks. The summertime, I love my hood. A Piragua, the park, I'm good. The Pitaguero poem. Okay. Ooh. Let's see here. Oh, Daisy said, my face is the color of the coquille, caramel and soft, with thick lips and a big mouth with vocals so strong. Yes, Daisy. Go for it, Daisy. That's awesome. I hope you get to share the full poem in our open mic session. I hope you don't be shy. We would love to hear these words coming from you. There's such a power when you use your voice. A lot of people have all these things just trapped inside and are just afraid to just take that key and unlock their voice. This is such a powerful tool. Your voice is everything, the way you communicate, you know? Don't sleep on your own magic. Don't sleep on your own power. You can do it, and you're gonna feel so good when you do. Even if it's not today, when you have that courage to share, even if it's just with your family, or even if it's just for yourself in the mirror, test it out, film yourself, grow, water yourself like that tree, expand. And these poems are the fruit of your imagination. It's limitless and it can become anything. You know, I didn't know when I started writing poetry as a little girl that I would write poems, I would write songs, plays. I've done one-woman shows. I did Boogie Rican Boulevard and the Puerto Rican Traveling Theater back when Miriam Colon was alive. I've done so many things, even comedy stand-up. I even have told jokes, storytelling, some for kids and some not for kids, because I'm everything. Sometimes, I honor the little girl inside, but I also honor that I'm a woman, a grown woman who's seen the world. So don't be afraid to express yourself. Don't limit yourself. Be all that you can be. So if there's anybody out there that feels like sharing, please let me know. Unmute yourself. You have the power in the chat to unmute yourself. And if you're on Facebook Live, I don't know how that's working out, but if there's any way that we can hear our Facebook people, let me know. Thank you, Daisy, for sharing. Yeah, a lot of people, all of us, we deal with our emotions, and poetry is about honoring those emotions. Sometimes when I'm struggling with a certain emotion, I start writing about that emotion. My sadness looks like, or my depression sounds like broken glass shattering, or my sadness is a river of tears that I let go. You can release any sadness or any emotion through poetry, and it'll help you deal with it. It'll help you take it outside of yourself and examine it. I take emotions and I look at them as if they were a physical thing. Like if I wanted to speak about love, love smells like abuelita's cooking. Let's see, there's a Variña Torres trying to get in. Let's let her in and see if she can add to the whole thing here. Miguel Angel Torres, my daughters Mia and Luna say their arms are like branches. Hi, Miguel. Hi, Mia. Hi, Luna. Your arms are like branches? What else are they like? Are they like wings? What lives on those branches? Do you have birds there? Are you growing leaves? What color are those leaves? Tell me everything that comes to your mind. What is your happiness like? Tell me everything. Share it all. It's all up to you. It's whatever you make it. So let's go back to this structure. If anybody wants to share what your hair is like, what your face is like. Is your face fuzzy like a peach? Is it bright like sunshine? Is it the sun? Is it a sunflower? My favorite flower is the sunflower, by the way, if you haven't noticed by now. I might have said sunflower a bunch of times. El girasol. I love sunflowers. But what is your face like? What are your eyes like? Mia and Luna, what are your eyes like? What do you see with your eyes? What lives inside of your heart is what I want to know too. What's in there? Reach deep inside and pull it out, extract it. It's like if your heart was a fruit and you squeezed it, what would it taste like? Is it sweet, like orange juice? Is it semi-sweet, like Sour Patch Kids? What is it? Tell me anything and everything that comes to your mind. I can tell you, poetry changed my life, even in the smallest little scale. And then it had this ripple effect. And I've been able to travel the world performing poetry. I had no idea that that would happen. And it all started with the little seed that my great-grandmother planted. Esa semilla que mi bisabuela cosechó en mi corazón y en mi mente con su creatividad, me cambió mi vida. Cambió mi vida. Oh, let's see here more. My daughter's arms are like the branches, right? And also from Facebook, we have Mercedes Jacinda. You can also collect leaves, twigs, flowers, blown off stems, to create a collage to reflect your words. Yes. Go Mercedes, go Mercedes. Yes. All of you, you're poets today. And tomorrow, will you be a poet again? Will you be a poet the next day? Will you be a poet for the rest of your life? You can be. You can be anything that you want. There's no limit. So Mia and Luna, make sure you stay creative, because creativity is freedom. No matter what's happening out in the world, you can create a world inside yourself, and it can be as beautiful as you want it to be. So does anybody have a question? Is there a word you're trying to rhyme with that you're having a hard time with? Anything, let me know. I would love to be able to help you. Feel free. And has anybody worked up the courage to share their poem? We only have a little while left. Anybody? I know it's hard to come out of the poetic closet, if you will, but I can tell you it's very, very liberating. And you know, the structure that I told you about skipping lines, super helpful. So instead of like crossing things out, you can always just add to whatever you wrote. Read whatever line you wrote. Look at it. Does it have a color? Does it have a smell? Whatever you're talking about, describe it. Because poetry is basically creating imagery, creating a painting with your words. Yes. Daisy adds, my arms are like tree trunks, thick and strong, inviting, protecting with no qualms. Go Daisy, go Daisy. Yes, yes, go Daisy. I love it. I love it. Look at your poem, love your poem, kiss your poem, just kiss it. Kiss it, love it. Express yourself. Today's your day to be you. Oh, do I have any favorite poets who inspire me? Yes. I am inspired by Julia de Burgos. She was the first woman Puerto Rican poet to write poetry in English, making her the foundation of Nuyorican poetry. And at the time that Julia de Burgos was alive, women couldn't even wear pants. So she was an expressed woman with brilliant mind, constricted by the society she lived in. And I think about her a lot. I think about women like Anne Frank, who died in the Holocaust, but her diary survived. And she wrote that she couldn't look outside of her window, but she wrote her window instead. I love that. Whenever I feel like I don't know what to write, I think about all these people that are no longer with us. What might they say? I try to be a voice for the voiceless. So I love Julia de Burgos. I love Anne Frank. I love Frida Kahlo. I love Maya Angelou so much. Emily Dickinson, even Robert Frost, and Langston Hughes. I love Langston Hughes because he wrote plays and musicals, and he was part of the Harlem Renaissance. Harlem, where El Museo del Barrio is located. And El Museo del Barrio, that's where Julia de Burgos, right outside on that same strip, right there on Fifth Avenue, is where she collapsed and passed away. There's a lot of history. And I think about these luminaries that they didn't even know how magical they were in their life. They didn't know how magical they were. And here they are in heaven, and we still speak their names. That's how powerful creation is. That's how powerful your poetry is. It'll live forever as long as you just let it be. Let it fly. Your poetry and your message is just as important as anybody else's. Remember that. Thank you for asking, Elena. Yeah, I have a lot of inspirations. And musically too. Celia Cruz, Hector Lavoe, Selena Gonzalez de Cuba. So many people that have inspired me along the way. And like I said, poems can turn to songs. If you're interested in my music, I have 2 albums on Spotify because I also do like my whole hip hop flow. And I've been doing Nuyorican work all my life and very bilingual. And when I first started doing poetry, you know, people weren't ready for like bilingualism. So they didn't know what box to put me in. But now, over 20 years later, now I've created my own niche, my own place, and I am as free as I want to be bilingually, however I want to flow. And poetry was the key to doing all of those things. I wrote my name on an open mic list to spit. It was a lunar eclipse. It was 1996, April 3rd. My spoken word the first time was heard, and I emerged as a Nuyorican poet. I didn't even have a flow yet. Bobito hosted. The seed was planted since then. I just had to grow it from the time I was 5 when I learned to recite from Mama, who herself couldn't read or even write. She was my beacon light. She changed the course of my life. She saw my mom become my wife on Halloween night. So no, I don't kill chickens or do voodoo pins sticking, and my mission isn't wicked, superstition, no Wiccan, no Spanish Inquisitions, no spooky premonitions, no treating, no tricking. It's just oral tradition. I only spell with words, verbal incantations. So after this, don't ask again what the name meant. La Bruja. That's another thing. Now we see a lot of people embracing, calling themselves a bruja. And back when I started, it was met with a lot of curiosity, and people thought all kinds of things. But now by calling myself La Bruja, I have liberated so many women into embracing their divine feminine, their curandera within, these healers that have always existed, but were demonized by society. Now we have new life as good brujas, good brujitas, and good brujos, expressing ourselves and creating positive spells in the world. So I hope you feel the love. I hope you feel the creativity, the magic that lives inside of you, because you have it. You have it. Don't sleep on your own magic. So our time is almost up. If anybody has a question, please feel free to ask it now. And I am so grateful to El Museo del Barrio for all that they continue to do for our community and for still having me as part of their family. I just feel so honored and happy about that. So let's see if anybody dared to create. Oh, my mother's calling me. Oh my goodness. Oh, okay. Well, thank you. My mother must have heard us, all these vibes, and she's calling. That's how it works. Words are magical. Thoughts are magical. They have power. What you think and what you say to yourself has vibration. So try to keep your thoughts about yourself super positive. Try to stay as positive as possible. Speak to yourself with love. Look at yourself in the mirror and say, I love you. Daisy, let's see what Daisy adds. My heart is so big, it's out of control. Like a sponge, it takes in everyone's pain without a thought. That means you're an empath, honey. I know what that's like, but you can use all those emotions and express yourself. Thank you so much, Daisy, for sharing that. Thank you for sharing everything that you shared. It really helped so much. You have no idea your own power. So thank you for joining us today for Sábado Familiar. And we hope to see you again at an upcoming event because El Museo del Barrio provides so many things for the community. We encourage you to make sure you fill out the census Don't be afraid to fill that census out and mail it in. It's really important to be counted so that government funds can go towards more programming like this that help your community. If you haven't yet, get counted at 2020census.gov. It only takes 5 minutes. I did it super quickly. And one of the things it said was, it asked me my race. I wrote human because I'm kind of tired of us being separated by color. I want to see a future where we all see ourselves as one race, the human race. And that's why this poem about identity was connected to nature, because I want us to connect to the nature that we come from and live with. If you enjoyed this program, please think about supporting El Museo. For more info on El Museo en tu casa and ways to donate to El Museo, visit el-museo.org and follow us on social media, El Museo del Barrio, the place that I love to be, the place where I have been teaching and expressing poetry for most of my career. And it has been an honor and a pleasure to be with you. Go to my website, caridaddelaluz.com. Caridad de la Luz, that's my real name. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, at La Bruja NYC, or on Twitter as the same. Many blessings to all of you, my poetic friends. Don't be afraid to express yourself. It could change your life.